Hi, my name's Salem, and I chose the topic of marijuana because I wanted to understand why it's so hard to not smoke weed. And my first article was Dysregulation as a Correlate of Cannabis Use and Problem Use. And dysregulation was separated into four things, which is working memory, the ability to manipulate the currently activated memory in response to new stimuli, so kind of shifting your perspective. Delayed discounting, which is choosing delayed gratification, choosing a small immediate reward over a later larger one. Impulsivity, difficulty thinking about consequences before acting. And reward sensitivity, having a highly sensitive reward center in your brain. Participants were asked to not smoke weed for 15 hours and then were given either placebo or real weed, double blindly. And then were measured with various tests and had their kind of marijuana use, fill out a questionnaire about their marijuana use. And it was found that higher working memory was associated with a less consumption and problems. Delayed discounting was associated with higher use problems but not more frequency, which I found surprising, but I think makes sense because it means that when you are smoking weed, it's more likely that you're choosing it as a small immediate reward over a larger later reward, which means that your use is more likely to be problematic. Higher impulsivity, more frequency of use and problems. You don't think about it before you smoke weed. Now you're high and now you deal with the consequences. And then high reward sensitivity was related to more frequent use but not more problems. So, you want to trigger that reward center in your brain. Then the second study was tobacco and nicotine and marijuana co-use and motives in young adults, associations with substance use behaviors 1 year later. So 342 young adults who used tobacco and marijuana at the same time, like a spliff bowl, mixing the two substances, were asked for their motivations, asked to fill out their motivations from a given list, and the list was: the higher buzz is enjoyable, my friends use both at the same time, it helps me relax, it helps make activities more fun, it evens out the effects of both, it tastes good, it's easier to control the substance doses, it's for experimentation, it's more affordable, it helps me cope with stress and bad mood. Out of habit, it makes socializing better, it helps me use less, it's less harsh, it makes use easier to hide, and it's less harmful to health. And there were four kind of groups of motives. One group endorsed all of the motives very highly. One endorsed all of the coping reasons, to deal with negative stress and mood. There was a social class that endorsed all of the social motives, using it around friends. And there was a no motives class that really just enjoyed the buzz, experimentation, and other people around them were doing it. And it was found that the all motives class and the coping motives class both had more frequent use and more frequent problems of use, which is a double-edged sword because those who are using it to cope are likely using it medicinally in some way, and so that's something that they have to balance. And then the final study was Why Don't They Stop? Understanding Unplanned Marijuana Use Among Adolescents and Young Adults, where 85 youths from the ages of 15 to 25 were asked in the morning to log if they planned to use marijuana, and then throughout the day, or if they did use marijuana, if they were surrounded by marijuana, if they were around people associated with it, what their cravings were, what paraphernalia is around that might trigger cravings. And it was found that they used about 35% of unplanned days, but did use less grams on those days. Being around friends who smoked led to more likely use even after controlling for marijuana availability. Makes sense. But what was interesting was that low positive effect, which is low positive mood, was associated with more weed smoking, but high negative mood was not, would suggest that it's more you smoke weed because you don't feel anything than you smoke weed because you want to feel better. And then also, and then in yesterday's readings, there was Relapse Prevention for Addictive Behaviors, which mentioned that CBT was best for low self-efficacy, and also that CBT was the most effective for marijuana use. And I think that makes sense. All of these things create very much a habit, a cyclical nature of smoking weed, and that makes it more difficult to think of yourself as able to not smoke weed, leading to more use. Thank you.